From the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know at the News You Trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution, I'm Joel Norwood with your Friday markets and agricultural news. Let's start on that news side and see what's happening out in the fields with the latest Pioneer Field Report. Over to our own Dave Russell.
This is the Pioneer Fall Agronomy Update. Pioneer Field Agronomist Troy Putnam in southern and central Ohio says now's the time to be thinking about tar spot.
And the things that I'm going over with growers now is, okay, here's the plan. And number one is that we have to start with a solid genetic foundation. We have to be picking hybrids that have known scores, that have a level of tolerance that we know exists, because we can't always fungicide ourselves out of tar spot. So we have to be proactive, picking products and getting our fungicides on in a timely manner.
Other things to consider when talking about tar spot?
Tillage comes into play. We can indeed have an influence on the amount of residue that's on the soil surface. And then, of course, fungicides are something that does work, is very much a tool in the toolbox. And then I can't impress enough, and whether we're talking tar spot or whether we're talking insects or any other thing that's going on out here in the field, time spent scouting in the field, walking, kicking clods is always time well spent, Dave.
For my complete interview with Pioneer Field Agronomist Troy Putnam, go to ohioagnet.com and go to featured audio. I'm Dave Russell.
And thanks, Dave. It's been in the news quite a bit in recent years. Proposed regulation of commonly used agricultural products, such as certain herbicides. That's something the newly formed Modern Ag Alliance is taking issue with. And for more on that, Bayer Crop Science's Martha Smith to give us a rundown of what they're looking at.
So we have a situation right now where there is uncertainty around the labeling of crop protection tools in the U.S. And so the goal here is to have a solution to that via state legislation in states such as Ohio and others around the country in order to show that the need for crop protection tools, right? So those of us in agriculture know how important crop protection tools are for farmers to be able to supply affordable and healthy food supply, as well as using conservation methods. But right now those tools are under attack, and there is the chance where we could lose access to those tools.
She says it comes back around to who is the authority on such matters.
Part of the idea here is that we do need uniformity in labeling in the U.S. So what's happened in the last few years is the litigation industry has fueled controversy around labeling, and it's led to uncertainty about who is the authority in the U.S. for determining the safety from a human health effects and carcinogenicity standpoint of the safety of crop protection tools. And so what this legislation would do is to reassert that EPA is the authority in the states as it pertains to crop protection labels. Now, states can add to labels. They can do different things related to their state. We certainly want to make sure those state protections are protected. But the reality is farmers work across state lines, and there needs to be a degree of uniformity, and we can't have states directly conflicting the data and evidence that's coming out of EPA.
Martha Smith of Bayer Crop Science talking about their involvement in the new Modern Ag Alliance. Elsewhere, ethanol production has reached a record high. That's in the 7 days that ended on November 8th, according to new data from the Energy Information Administration. Production jumped to an average of 1.113 million barrels a day. That's up from 1.105 million barrels a week earlier, and the highest since record-keeping began in 2010. The Midwest is by far the biggest producing region, and output increased to 1.05 million barrels a day, the highest since their last record, October 29th of 2021. It marks the region's third highest production level of all time. And stay tuned, we'll take a look at market numbers up next on the Ohio AgNet.
Hi everyone, this is Dale Minio from the Ohio AgNet. For a quarter of a century, I powered my truck with biodiesel, traveling the state promoting agriculture. Biodiesel is a reliable, high-performance fuel that works in any diesel engine without modification. The best part is that with every mile driven, I'm fueling the economy, doing good for the environment, and supporting soybean farmers. Learn how using biodiesel can add value to every bushel of soybeans grown at soyohio.org.
Since 1926, Nationwide has been rooted in agriculture. Founded as the Farm Bureau Mutual Automobile Insurance Company with a mission to protect farmers and their communities, we honor our legacy by offering solutions that evolve with the complex needs of today's farms. As the leading insurer of America's farms and trusted by 8 farm bureaus for 100 years and counting, Nationwide is on your side. Number 1 insurer based on 2023 direct written premium per AM Best. Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
Grain markets closing out the week on a high note as we take a look at what happened at the Chicago Board of Trade. December new crop corn up a nickel to $4.24 per bushel. March corn 4.5 higher to $4.35 1/4. Jan beans up 11 cents to $9.98 1/2, while March soybeans are at $10.08 3/4, a 9.5 cent gain. Next July wheat up a nickel to $5.70 per bushel. Markets brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance. Online at seedconsultants.com. We're seeing live cattle for February 15 cents up to $185.25. January feeder cattle $4.03 higher to $247.23. Hogs falling. December down 60 cents to $79.50. And milk making a complete 180, now up 30 cents to $18.76. Have a great Friday, everybody. This is the Ohio AgNet.